I was what's this?
I think people think I'm writing a book, which maybe one day, but not yet.
Okay, we're live. And
yay.
Is that on?
Yep. Okay.
Welcome back to Good Moms and Bad Choices.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Neela.
And it's Wednesday.
It's actually Wednesday.
Yeah, we sometimes record not on Wednesday. We got put on blast a few weeks ago, but whatever. You guys know the deal.
Right.
The fuck. We're moms. We don't have time to record every fucking Wednesday.
Right.
Anyway, we have a special guest today. We have the beautiful, talented mama, entrepreneur, overall boss woman, Zoila Darton.
Hey, ladies. I'm so happy to be here today with you boss-ass mamas.
We're excited to have you. I'm excited that you're here. I'm so happy that I know you. I've connected with you.
Seriously.
And I feel like we have so many other connections in our life, but I reached out to you for that panel.
Mm-hmm. But we knew each other through Nicole Russell, who was also on our show.
Did we know each other before that?
Well, I think actually you knew Nicole. I saw that you knew Nicole. I was like, wait, you know Nicole?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did she connect us? Not really.
She didn't. I followed you guys. I don't remember why I followed the podcast, but I started following you guys. And then I reached out to you. And then that was it. But then we realized Nicole and it was.
And then your friend last week knew Bruna. Was best friends with Bruna. Yeah.
Everybody's connected. It's beautiful.
I love it. I love that. Well, can you let our listeners know a little bit about who you are, what you do? I know you dabble in many things.
I hate the question what I do because I feel like I do so many things. Well, I am from New York City. I was born in Spain, but I grew up in New York for my whole life, and I moved out here to Los Angeles a little over 3 years ago to continue my career in the music business as an artist manager, and through a series of crazy, but I now say fortunate events, because the old me would have probably said unfortunate, but fortunate events. I no longer work in the music business. I am the founder of a creative agency called Word. It stands for We Open Real Doors. And we do just that for women-owned businesses, brands that are interested in supporting women. And we also, work to create experiences and products and content to support women on their business and personal journey. So it's a lot of stuff. I've been recently saying that it's kind of like my brain out into the world. I think it has a lot to do with the way that I was raised. I was raised really freely, and that was a positive and a negative, because it took me a long time to discover how to create routine and be dedicated to one thing, which I still can't do. I think it's a lot of us. I think it's most people, but typically, especially in America, parents kind of drive their children to be good at this one thing and stick to that. And my mom was such a bohemian. She's a musician and a very prolific music publisher, Marty Cuevas. Hi, Mom. Love you. She had a really intense upbringing and not so great relationship with her mom. So when the way that she mothered my brother and me was here, do your thing. And I'm going to just support whatever you want to do, which is great, but it didn't really teach me how to commit. And I have a wild imagination. I've always been a really big dreamer. And so when I would find something that I was interested in, I would go full force into it. And I just did that over and over and over and over and over again. And so now it's really cool to have a brand and, a business where I can really express my creativity in whatever way and kind of be my own master of my universe.
That's amazing.
Creatively,
I had no idea
inspiring.
I didn't know you were in the music industry.
Me too. I never knew that either.
Yeah. So both of my parents are musicians. They met actually living Spain. My mom is from San Francisco, and she fell in love with Spain and Spanish, and so she's white, and she moved out there and met both my father and my father's father. And my brother was raised there until he was 7, and he's 7 years older than me. So by the time I was like 9 months, we had moved back to the U.S.
New York, or
we moved first to San Francisco until I was about 2, and then we moved to New York. So both of my parents were jazz musicians, so that was like, you know, where you wanted to be. It's Mecca. But they got there and there was no money to be had. So my mom threw herself into finding work, being, you know, the mom and the level-headed person. And my father continued to be a jazz musician and, you know, had his own thing going on. But my mom ended up working in music, which was really fortunate for her as a musician. And she, through a series of events, ended up owning her own music publishing company in the Latin world. You know, working with groups like Aventura, Romeo Santos, a really prolific bachata singers, like just doing really dope things. And I started working with her when I was around 26, I would say, or 25. I was interning at Refinery 29 and like realized that financially that was not going to work. Like even if I got a full-time job there, they wanted to pay me like nothing. And my mom really needed support on the marketing and creative side and like bringing in talent and also just like being kind of like a face of the company. So I went in and worked with her for 7.5 years in Maimba music. And actually the way that I met Nicole Russell, who is one of our mutual friends we were talking about, is because of a Women's History Month campaign that I created for Maimba music. We featured 33 women just like paving their own ways in 2014. And that's how I met Nicole.
She was one of the women?
She was one of the women, and we've become, you know, sisters since then.
So working with your mom, what's that like? Because I work with my mom.
Yeah.
I always love to ask people that work with their parents because it's always, I get that face a lot.
Well, how much time do we have?
Okay, well, I don't want to do
No.
Was it a good experience? I mean,
No, it was a wonderful experience, and I still, you know, do some things for her here and there, like in my realm. She lives in New York, so my brother also works at the company, Maimba. It's a family company. And working with my family was an experience. And I used to compare it to being in the mob because I felt like even if I wanted to go, there was no way out.
Oh, God.
Because it's like you want to build capital for your family.
Right.
And
you feel an obligation.
Yeah. And, you know, it was a great experience. And my mom is incredible. And I'm so in awe of her. And really, she's taught me everything that I know about business and how to be honest. And I'm so grateful for that. But working with my mom was tough because she was a single mother. We had already had a very complicated relationship in terms of like mom-daughter. Like sometimes I felt like we were more friends. She was just working so hard to make ends meet. You know, motherhood sometimes I think was a struggle for her, not in just like the emotional, but, you know, in the logistical day-to-day, like finding babysitters and all those things that we all understand. And so when you add in working together, you know, sometimes I would have to have conversations and I'd be like, Mom, I'm your daughter. Like, I just want to be your daughter right now. Like, please, like, I don't want it to be I don't want to be your coworker, you know, your employee. Like, I don't want that right now. Like, I just need mom and daughter talk. And so that was really difficult, you know, and then there's obviously family dynamics and, you know, I'm kind of like the wild child of the family for sure. My brother was basically the man of the house. So he's very regimented. He's a musician as well, very talented guitar player. And so he is regimented. And I never really was. I was just like, fly. And I've just now, as I become a mother, realized that I like kind of raised myself. And that's not to say that my mom didn't raise me at all. But when I compare or look at, you know, the relationships and like the things that some of my friends had in comparison to me when they were growing up, like I I was on my own a lot. And but I'm grateful for all of it. It's made me who I am. Working with my mom was awesome. It was a lot.
I get it. I totally get it.
What's your sign?
I'm an Aquarius, February 12th, Abraham Lincoln's birthday.
Nice. So we ran into each other last week at this K-Swiss event or Foot Locker K-Swiss event. We were watching Clueless and I saw Zoila and I was like, oh my God. And then towards the end of the event, Jamila was with me. We started talking and we were talking about, what's going on in the world with, politics and all this abortion talk. And I was telling Jamila after we were talking, because it was like towards the end of the event, there weren't a lot of people around, but we were discussing abortion and we were talking about our abortions. And I told Jamila, I was like, it's so weird. Like, I felt really uncomfortable hearing you guys discuss it openly in public. I was like, I felt, and I had to ask myself why. And I think because as a society, we've been so shamed by abortion and talking about that. And now that I'm a mother, it feels like
shameful,
even more shameful to talk about. But then I was like, but then now with everything that's happening, like these new Instagram accounts opening up and really like shout your abortion, coming into place and talking about and really just normalizing it. Something has like switched in my head in just like 2 weeks. But I was telling you, I was like, I feel like it's so weird that I felt not weird, but I know that most people would feel uncomfortable. And I was almost like looking around like, can anyone hear us? We're talking about our abortions right now. Should we like go in a corner and talk about this? And I was like, should we whisper about it? And I thought like, okay, this needs to be a topic because
why do I feel this way?
Why do I feel this way? Why do most women feel this way?
Well, because I thought about it too. And I thought in the moment, it's like, oh, well, like people can hear us. And I was like, fuck it. Like this, we need to talk about this shit. I don't care if I'm I don't care. This is something that's important right now,
No, it is. But I couldn't help but really check how I was feeling. And I was like, do I feel comfortable talking about this?
We've all lived in the shadows of abortion, right? Like almost every woman I know has had one, and the women that I know that haven't had one think it's because they're barren.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, I could just never get pregnant.
That was me.
Yeah.
I thought I couldn't get pregnant. I should get pregnant.
And so I think when it comes to normalizing it, we just have to continue to talk about it. And I think one of the really interesting things that are coming out of this whole talking about abortion is how we're talking about men in relation to abortion. Because when a woman has an abortion, it's not just the woman that has it.
The man is always he's never part of the conversation.
Yeah.
He's never part of the conversation.
And sometimes men aren't aware, right? That is a circumstance. But for me, for instance, I've had to have two, and it's with my husband, who is my husband now. He was my boyfriend at the time. And like, it was difficult for both of us. I think a different kind of difficulty, but he was there too. And I think that one of the ways that we will destigmatize it is to have men support us in that conversation and not just say, pro-choice, women can do whatever they want with their bodies. Cause that's a fucking given. And that's what we want. But we need to hear the stories from the men who have suffered from abortion as well.
What do you mean? In the sense that they wanted the baby and they weren't allowed to carry it out, or in the sense that
all of it. Like the guys that had to accompany their girlfriends and the guy, just all of that stuff, because this is not just a conversation about, because the way that like the right or the pro-life people phrase it is that they essentially, they say that it's about religion, but what they really want to say is that it's about irresponsibility. Like the woman is so irresponsible for like getting pregnant when she didn't want to get pregnant. Like you shouldn't kill a baby because of it.
It shouldn't be a form of birth control.
It's just fucking ridiculous.
Right. Because no woman, let's be realistic, like no woman's just fucking and saying, fuck it, I'll just go to the clinic next week. There's nothing fun about having an abortion.
No, it is
not one fun part. Like
so traumatizing.
It's literally traumatizing as fuck. And the man literally comes and then
and then we deal with it.
And then we have to deal with it. And it's cold and it's lonely and it's miserable.
And I just think that when it really comes down to it, it's about censorship, and there shouldn't have to be censorship about it. Like, if you want to talk about your abortion, you should be able to. If you don't, you should be able to keep it secret as well. But, why are we telling people what to do with their bodies? I have no fucking clue. It's like, it's mind-boggling to me, to a point where, like, I can't even get into conversations about it because it's very upsetting. It's so strange to me that this is a conversation happening in 2019 when we still have, a really high percentage of poverty. Our education system is broken. We have psychotic people in the White House. We're bombing countries. We're killing the planet. Yet for some reason,
this is a topic.
We're regulating what a woman does in the privacy of her own time with her own body.
So strange.
It's oppression. It's another form of oppression. And it really gets me upset when I think about it. So the best thing I do is donate money. I'm donating the proceeds of my shirts that I sell on my website to, Naral Pro-Choice and the Yellowhammer Fund. And that's like what I can do, because I have a lot of shit going on in my life that I need to take control of. So like, the deeper I get into a topic like this, it just breaks my heart. So I do what I can, and I just I pray for humanity. Honestly, I pray for us all.
Like, I don't know what I would have, if when I had my abortion, if I couldn't have gotten it,
where would you be?
Who knows?
I don't know to what end I would have went to make it not happen.
Right.
To make this pregnancy not happen.
Babies end up in the garbage too.
Yeah.
No, I know, because the person I was pregnant by didn't even live in this country. It was a fun time. We were definitely not trying to get pregnant at all, obviously. I thought I was being safe, pull-out method, and I was young. I was broke.
Yeah.
Like, what was I going to be doing with a baby with a guy who doesn't even live here? Like, who didn't want the baby either. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, if Planned Parenthood wasn't an option for me, like, I don't know what I would have done. And it was the worst experience I've ever gone through. It was lonely. Thank God I have amazing friends that came over. I took the pill.
Oh,
and they came
How
over.
old were you?
24. Came over, I took the pill, and the women that came, my friends that came over, they had all had abortions too.
Mm-hmm.
So they were telling me this is what it's gonna feel like. Don't worry, we're here for you. I just remember taking the pill and just waiting for something to happen. And then when it did, it was the most painful thing I've ever experienced, willingly. And besides childbirth,
I was going to say,
but even that, I had an epidural, there was numbing with that.
And you got a baby after.
Right. This was just totally heartbreaking. And I just can't imagine what I would have done. First of all, if I would have had a baby, what would I have been doing? And secondly, if I didn't have access to, this healthcare, because abortion is healthcare. Let's be real.
It is. Absolutely.
I don't know what I would have done. And I think about all the girls, even before abortion was, even possible, what they were doing and how they were doing it, and all the people that died, having abortions, having back alley abortions. It's just I can't, and yeah, it's feels like Handmaid's Tale.
Well, it's a form of oppression because, like you said, what would you have done with your life had you not been able to have the abortion? So that's what we're seeing a lot of right now, is a lot of stories of women. Actually, Quinn, I forgot her last name, but she's one of the co-founders of Loom. She just came out with her story of, what happened to her because she was able to have an abortion. And so I think that there's a few different parts to why they want to ban abortion, but I do think that the root of it is oppression, because when you take away a woman's choice, you take away her freedom. And so you have 16-year-old girls or 18-year-old girls or a 30-year-old woman who isn't ready to get pregnant, or isn't ready to have a baby because they're not where they need to be, and both of my abortions, I got pregnant twice on contraceptives.
I got pregnant once on contraceptive. I mean, with a condom. Yeah.
I was on birth control.
Yeah.
You know, it's 98.9% effective, and that little percentage can happen. And we were not in the position to have a baby. My whole life would have been like different and not destroyed, because, you know, I know a lot of people who had children at very young ages. And one of them in particular, who is like an energy healer, she told me that she didn't want to have the baby. She was very, very, very young. She did not want to have the baby, but there was something inside of her that told her that she had to. And when we look at her life would not be what it is today if it weren't for that. And that was her choice to do that.
Right.
She also had the choice to not do it if she didn't want to. And like, it honestly is so mind-boggling to me why we would do this to women. This is a direct war on us. Like they just want to keep and we're rising up right now.
I know. It's a really
That's why.
That's why. I know.
I did like a little research about this because I was just like, I need to know more facts about even before, like what was happening before. And it's shocking, like the statistics, but before Roe versus Wade was coming out versus now, like 1 in 6 women it resulted in death when they had 1 in 6 abortions led to death prior to Roe versus Wade. That is so many women.
There was 1 million unwanted pregnancies a year in the United States. 1 million. And like 30% of those women were doing like self-inflicted abortions, which ranged from like douching and sticking like toxic things like bleach and like weird things up your vagina. There was nothing, like obviously everyone knows like the coat hanger. Then it was even to the extent women were like, because it was back alley, asking like cab drivers, door people, getting blindfolded to hotel rooms so you could not see the person administering this fake ass abortion. Chiropractors were giving abortions. People like who have no prostitutes, literally
anybody.
And like literally women are dying, bleeding out to death because they're humiliated. Like even after things have gone wrong, not going to the doctor because they're humiliated because they're terminating a pregnancy.
They're humiliated and it's illegal.
Right.
So like they're scared they're gonna get in trouble, you know, for doing something to their body.
Versus the statistics about when it finally passed and we've been having safe abortions for all these years, it's like 99.9% safe abortion.
And we're actually at our lowest rates since
I saw that too.
Roe versus Wade.
So our
right
abortion
now,
rates are at the lowest. And they were just like, that was my biggest question. When this came up, I was like, all this shit is going on in the world. Like global warming, like the fucking prison system's fucked up. There's a lot of shit happening. Who the fuck, what old fuck is back there like, I know what we need to focus on. Let's overturn this shit that's been in place for 100 years. Not even 100 years, but like.
I mean, even in Alabama, like when they voted in Alabama, it was all men. It was one woman. She's 75 years old.
She wrote the bill.
Hasn't been able to.
What a cunt bitch.
She wrote the bill. Judge K, she wrote the bill.
What a fucking cunt.
And hasn't been able to bear children in, 40 years. Like,
I want to know who hurt her. That's what I want to know. No, to do that to other women and make that part of your legacy. Like, what happened to you? What happened to you?
And the fact that most of these politicians guaranteed have had their mistresses get an abortion, had their kids get abortions that maybe had fun one weekend. Like they've used abortion when it was personal to them and they needed it.
First of all, the statistics says like 1 in 4 women have had an abortion. First of all, there's 3 of us sitting here right now.
All three of us have had
abortions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean and I'm just like, that statistic might be higher because, like you said, exactly the same.
Well, you have to be telling the truth.
You have to be telling.
If you're taking a survey, and a lot of women don't tell the truth because they're ashamed.
Even in the doctor, when you go to the doctor, like particularly Planned Parenthood, and they ask you, this to me felt like the most like, I don't know, like invasive question, like how many live births how many times have you been pregnant? How many live births have you had? Yeah. And like being like, I've had 1 live birth, I've had X amount of abortions. It just always seems so demeaning. Like I always felt like, fuck, are you gonna really ask this? I know it's on the chart, bitch. Like,
I already wrote it down.
Right? Like, come on now.
Yeah.
But again, like men in no capacity experience this shame or experience this like the struggle that exists if you have an unwanted pregnancy. Like in college, like my freshman, I had a abortion like my freshman year in high school and my freshman year of college.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
You're a baby. Could you
15.
imagine?
I was 15. I turned 16. I waited really long because I didn't want to tell my parents.
Oof.
I went to Catholic school and it was in the handbook. This was in the handbook. Like this was not allowed. I had my best friend take me because she was the only one with the car. I lied to my parents. The school was calling my parents that say I wasn't in school yet. So by the time I got out of the abortion, they knew what was up. They had to pick me up. But that guy, like, unfortunately, bless his heart, like, I saw him homeless on the street, like, on drugs. He had some issues. Like, that has nothing to do with that. But this other guy in college.
But it does, though. Imagine that is the father of your child.
And
because you were a
child.
baby.
Right. He had issues, whatever. College comes. I was messing with some older guy, some fake ass Muslim in Philly who already had, for real, 4 kids, 4 baby mamas, got pregnant on a fucking condom and was like, look, he's like, well, I don't believe in abortion. Stop answering his phone. Literally call my brother. I don't believe it. I'm Muslim. I don't believe in abortion. Nigga, I'm not Muslim. Okay. And I'm not going to be number 5. And at the time I was in Georgia. So we don't even realize growing up in California, we have had so much access. Because even that time when I was in high school and Planned Parenthood, I didn't have to tell my parents. They don't tell your parents if you request, which is what God sent. Because there's parents that would make their kids keep babies.
Or they'll kick you out.
So when I moved to Georgia, that shit is not free in Georgia. Here, I went through great lengths to get that free abortion, like stood in lines and all these weird offices to get this paper, whatever. But in college, I remember like having to get a credit card, borrowing some money from some friends, putting like this $600 on this, probably the limit of the credit card was $600, and like going through great lengths because this guy was just like, what? Click, I'm like, imagine if I would have 2 kids prior to Luna, that's crazy. And again, that guy, also the Muslim, is in jail. And I have a friend.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I have a friend
Lord.
who has a baby by him. But it's just like, men are not even included in this equation. Like, how is this even?
Yeah, you were there too when it went down.
I saw this like meme or something saying
like this is not a one-sided thing.
If we're gonna outlaw abortion, then we need to outlaw you coming. Period. Because
they're little babies.
You're disposing your babies.
I think the next wave is going to be women co-parenting babies. They're going to go to sperm donors and being like, "Hey, you're my best girl. Like, I don't even want to fuck with a dude. Like, let's just."
You know how many times my friends have
together.
discussed, like, if everything doesn't work out by the time of a certain age, we're going to all move in together. We're going to be happy. We're going to have like a little colony house. We'll exchange time when it's time to babysit, and if you want to date, that's great. But
really make it our choice.
Yes,
the dick isn't
we don't even need you.
We don't even need you. No, but it's real. It's a real conversation, like. And I think back to my 2 abortions that I had with, my now husband, and I never even really like talked to him about how those abortions made him feel. But I'm sure he was afraid, as I was. And it's like, we need to hear these stories from men, because these motherfuckers that are making these laws, they need some other kind of pushback, because they're not going to listen to us. Mm-mm. They're not going to listen to us. Like, women, we are such a threat to these people right now, to these men right now. And unfortunately, we have a lot of white ladies who are siding with them. And I'm like, y'all need to stop choosing your fucking race over your gender. Like, if even statistically, like the abortion rates, it's actually more white women than any other demographic.
Wow. I didn't even know
and
that.
I read that. Yeah.
And they would, the media and the way that the stories are being told, and, this narrative that we've created about, Latinas have too many babies and Black women and their unfathered children and all this bullshit would have us think about ourselves, about our own people, that we're the ones out here causing all of this ruckus, when actually it's not even about us, right? Like, the numbers are not about us. And it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I like to live in positivity, but I recently saw Rachel Cargle speak, and somebody asked her like about the impending doom that like hangs over our heads, and how does she feel about it? as somebody that is she is fighting racism. She was like, listen, I just live my life the best way that I can. I do my work. She's like, but honestly, I am not optimistic.
Damn.
And I feel her.
About everything or this topic?
About this country and like our issues.
Right. I mean,
they're not like, she's not optimistic that they're going to get better anytime soon. And that,
well, definitely not with who's in office right now.
I mean, but it's also on a local level. Like, this is the thing that people are forgetting to take into account. Alabama, those people voted 46% of white women in Alabama, or I think it's actually higher than that, voted for a white male pedophile over a black man.
Oh, to be in office.
Yes. And that man is who helped pioneer the push of this overturning. And so when we're talking about government, we're also talking about local government. Like, what are we doing on the ground floor? Because, yeah, Cheeto in chief can do his things. But, like, at the end of the day, the United States governs as 50 separate states with 50 separate laws. Like, each state is allowed to do what they want.
No, absolutely.
And as that's why you are able to have what we have in California. We're able to have what we have in New York because we're educated. We are open-minded for the most part. Like, we want change, and we don't mind other people doing well. But in some of these other states, I feel sad for my sisters out there because, like, that's where they live. They are simply being punished based on the fact that they happen to live in this state.
Mm-hmm.
I literally brought it up. Don't ask me why. It's my baby daddy about this like outrage. He's like, well, I don't know, like, why even live in Alabama? I'm like, because people live there.
Yeah, like, you can't just get up and leave. I mean,
fuck are you
people don't have the means to. Never mind. I'm just like,
because they were born there. That's all they know.
No, like,
I don't know. It shouldn't matter.
Families there.
So everyone's gonna move out. Like,
right.
people are. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, and it's what's even more crazy is that the states that have these like higher bans or like bigger laws against abortion, they have higher rates of death with women.
Very low education rates.
I mean, it's obvious they're not that smart.
The maternal mortality rate is just higher because people don't want to have these babies. You know what I mean? And they're still trying to figure it out. And what's it going to take? Like, if Roe versus Wade were to get overturned, we're going to have to go out of the country to get abortions? Like,
well, they're making it illegal. They're saying if they find out that you went somewhere else to do it, you would be imprisoned. They're giving doctors life in prison.
99 years. And also no exception in rape and incest?
I can't. It's
they so think you want me to have my rapist's baby?
That's God's plan for you. I've never even understand that because I'm not like a huge God believer, but like if this is your master and your being, your spiritual being, like why do you think that he wants to put you through pain and suffering? That's not God. That's not what God does.
No.
And so when these people hide behind religion, it just flabbergasts me.
I mean, furthermore, religion and politics have never gone together. Like, this is not a Christian country. Like, this is like,
but it is.
I know, but it's
founded by the Puritans, girl.
I know, but like, how can you like? I'm so over the religious bullshit because let's be real. Like, you're doing this for you have different reasons. That, like, if you're about God and you're about like the love,
so propaganda.
Yeah, it's so
propaganda to control people, and keep them fearful of something. If you're fearful of God and this is what I tell you God is going to do to you
then
if you don't do X, Y, and Z. Yes. I mean, and we could get into real conversations about, like medieval times and when this stuff like really started to come into, what we would now call mainstream back then. I mean, it was just control, mind control. And
because that's another crazy thing I read that like in the mid 19th century, it was legal. It was perfectly legal. It was promoted because the contraceptives weren't that effective. And then when there was this evangelical spread that sweep over the United States, then this whole thing went into like
because it gave women agency over their bodies. They didn't have to become a mother and just be a mom.
Right.
Because also back then, if you were a mom, that was it. You were not there was no way to do both. You couldn't work and be a mom. So like,
and I think still to this day, obviously things are changing and women are more empowered and finding balance and understand that they can do both. But there's still a huge group of women that don't feel that way. And by taking away these rights, they are. A lot of them will just be moms. They won't ever pursue their dreams. They don't think that that's an option, and they don't have the means to. Like, they don't have a floor. They can't get a nanny. They can't get a nanny for a few hours so you can go do what the fuck you need to do. You know, like those options don't exist for them.
The abortion bans. It's just oppression. It's oppression of women. It's a war on women, and that's why I'm so scared.
It's a war on mankind.
It's a war on women, for sure. It is because the thing is that they don't care what happens to us after the babies are born. They don't care what happens to our babies after they're born.
Yeah, they're gonna go. So many of these babies are gonna go into adoption.
It's like, if you're really about people, if you're really about helping people, why aren't you trying to fix our education system? Why don't you want to fix our environment? Because if we don't have a planet, who gives a fuck if you can have an abortion or not? You know, so it's like, it just doesn't add up. And the only thing I can think of is that this is a war on women.
I agree.
And that's why, you know, I really have become the type of person that I probably like a few years ago would have hated, but I try to live in like pure joy and gratitude and peace for like what I do have, what I can accomplish, the beauty that is in my life. Because, you know, Tarana Burke said it best: your existence is resistance. Like, just existing in my life and living and doing the things that I love and being with the people that I love and creating with people that inspire me and having access to that and being able to access the higher part of my brain and vibrate on a higher frequency is the only thing that's going to keep me sane. Because if I allow myself to be consumed in the things that I can't control, I'll die, you know? So I'm like, I've just become this like huge advocate for finding the joy in your life in whichever way that comes to you, you know, whether it's like buying fresh flowers or if it's like fucking reading or like talking shit, whatever it is that like makes you feel like you are at peace, like do that, because there are forces out there that want to destroy us. And so just living in your joy and living in your purpose, that is a fight in itself.
Absolutely. It really is more than ever now, because there's so many distractions and there's so many things to make you feel less than constantly.
And you don't have to, because everything that we need is inside of us. It just takes a really long time. It takes a lot of different experiences and people and deep diving to understand how to access that power. And like, I'm not going to say that I've accessed it fully, because that's not true, but I'm getting there and it feels good. And I feel like the more I can access my power, the more I can help other people that are powerless.
And you align when you're empowered yourself and you're in this space, you align with people you're supposed to be aligned with.
100%.
You know, like when you're living in your truth and your purpose and you're happy, then suddenly everything, the universe, you know, conspires in your favor. And I think we don't realize, like, this is a grand time to be a woman, to be a woman of color, but like the community that we build by having the conversation in a fucking Foot Locker party saying, I've had X amount of abortions, and creating this conversation and being honest about it. And, you know, just having that conversation is like shifting Erica's thought process on how, you know, and maybe the woman in the corner who heard us that didn't even know us is shifting and feeling and or the guy, you know, the man, and it's like, damn, this is important. And just this podcast that maybe, you know, however many people are, you know, just these stories, like our stories, our experiences as women are valid. We've been put to be shamed for so long for things that are normal things, you know? For everything.
You work too hard. You're a housewife. Like, you know, oh, she's too fit. She's too fat.
Oh, you don't want kids?
Yeah, it's like everything that we do is like the opposite of what we should be doing.
So you're too sexual. You're not sexual enough.
So like, what do you want from us?
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, and this is the thing that got these people that are now, you know, feeling emboldened in their power. That's what got them there in the first place. And that's one thing that they did right. They all talked about it. They were loud about it. And it turned the other racist person to the right to feel like, oh, we're out here, like, yeah, I'm gonna join on your
Exactly.
carriage. So for us, the people that are trying to live in our truth and want peace and want love and want visibility and all of these things, the best thing that we can do is be loud in that and take up space in that, so that we can bring, you know, more of our sisters, more of our brothers that like feel the same way that we do, and we can build this energy field, you know, and that will vibrate out to those other states where these horrible things are happening, because those people, like, they've been asleep because they've had no choice.
Right.
You know, that's the environment that they were bred in. And so, but from struggle and pain comes beauty, you know, and you have to find how to get that. So, and now we have the internet, so they can see, you know, girls who maybe felt powerless can relate to somebody in California, can relate to somebody in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and be like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it too. You know, Beyonce even said it in Homecoming. She's like, I just want people to see what I've done, because if my country ass can do it, they can too.
Right.
And so that's why I truly believe like living fully in your joy is like one of the most powerful things that we can do. And I'm a New Yorker, you know, I was programmed to be like, bitch, please, like cynical as fuck, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, you know, New York, we thrive off of how much we can beat ourselves up. Like, how much did you get done today? And now I can't live like that. I want to live in peace and enjoy, and I want to radiate that so that other people can be attracted to my field. And there's going to be some people that are going to be like the old me and be like, she's so annoying with her positivity. But let me tell you, the day will come where they will have to face those truths, you know, about them and look deep into why they're like that. Because it happened to me, you know, I had to understand why I was so negative and why I always looked for like the shitty things in life. We're programmed to do so.
And annoyed by other people's happiness.
Yes,
You know?
because you feel like you don't have anything to, which is bullshit. You know,
you think they're not being genuine.
Right.
You're like, no one's that fucking happy.
Calm the fuck down.
You know?
And sometimes they're not being genuine, and
Of
sometimes they
course.
are.
Of
Like,
course.
you know, Jada Pinkett, I saw her at the Red Table Talk, and she was talking about gratitude, which is something that I was telling you, Mila, earlier today. Like, I do a gratitude journal every single morning. Well, I try to, you know, I list 3 things that I'm grateful for after I meditate, and it's changed my life. And she said it, she was like, even in this home, and you know, they're the Smiths, like they have an abundance of anything that they need. She was like, there are moments where we feel empty and there's a void. And what I've had to teach Willow is we're going to sit down and we're going to fill that void with gratitude, because we always have something to be grateful for. Like, even if it's a fucking roof over your head, clean sheets, clean water, that is something, you know, a conversation you had with your friend, a flower you saw on the street. Like, there are so many things that you can find joy in.
Anything.
Love it.
The fact that you can taste.
Coffee,
the fact that you can
man.
Walk.
Yo,
You have legs.
yeah.
You know?
No,
like,
seriously,
those
you
things.
can go, right? You can go wherever you want. Your
Right.
legs will take you where you want to go. And of course, there are circumstances where it's desolate and life is really hard. But I've been to some of the more impoverished communities in the world. You know, my mom has done a lot of work in the Dominican Republic, and like we've met, and there's always joy. There's always joy. Like, people could be living in nothing, con nada. And there's always joy somehow, whether it's through music that you could literally make with your hand, or like a conversation that you had with your friend, like your grandmother, like whatever. And so in this modern day, how are we not able to see the clarity that is already within us, right? So I try to work on that. That's like what saves me.
That's amazing. I mean, I feel like even hearing it is a reminder to myself. I mean, I always try to do that as well. But even this morning, I woke up and I haven't been meditating. I used to meditate every day. I've been falling off. But this morning, I think a lot of it is because either me and Irie wake up at the same time. Sometimes I'll try to meditate with her, but she's like, looks over at me. She's like, are we done?
She's like, you want me to sit still for how long?
Yeah, I'm like, just 10 minutes. But I woke up and I was like, okay, I know I don't have time to meditate, but I'm going to like sit here and go through a list of all the things I'm grateful for in my head. And I did that. And I woke up and I woke her up and I just felt immediately like, I'm ready to start my day. I feel amazing, you know, and I'm not grateful for material things. I'm grateful for the people in my life that I'm able to share, you know, a conversation with you this morning, that, you know, I have a beautiful, healthy child in the other room that I'm going to wake up and get dressed and experience her joy, because a child's joy is so pure.
Oh my God.
So pure. And, you know, how old is Dakota?
He is about to be 16 months.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
In June.
Just being able to experience that daily is such a reminder of like, all this other shit doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it does in ways like we're talking about abortion and our rights. We want our children to be okay. And that's really like what I fight for, you know, but at the end of the day, presently at this moment, like what are we grateful for?
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of times we lose sight of that. And it's really important for your mental health, sustainability, even physical health.
Yeah.
That you remind yourself of those things.
Yeah. We're programmed to tune into what's missing.
Yeah.
And we have to reprogram ourselves to tune into what we actually have. Yeah. It's like everything. I'm learning that now.
It takes time. I mean, shit, I'm 31. I'm going to be 32 this year. And I feel like I'm just really understanding my happiness and what makes me happy. And like, you know, when you're a kid, you think, oh my God, 25, you're so old.
Oh
you should have it all
God.
figured out then. No. And to those women that are listening right now, because I know we have people that listen from teenage, like at like late teens to, you know, 40 and plus. But like for those young women that are in their 20s, like it's okay if you don't have it figured out. I didn't. You didn't.
That doesn't define you.
It doesn't define
Shit,
you.
I don't really have it figured out right now.
Don't neither do
No,
I told you, I'm always flying by the seat of my pants. I'm 34 years old. I had to restart a career. Like it's hard. It's never going to be easy, but you have everything that you need to survive in you.
Right. And yeah, and you have to go back to the basics, but it's like basic things that you should be grateful for, because that always really is the most important thing. And like in every stage of our lives, first of all, we're constantly growing, hopefully. And like, there's no age where it's supposed to be perfect or shit's supposed to be right. Like even in the conversation of abortion, I think a lot of times it's way easier to discuss an abortion when I was in ninth grade, or an abortion my freshman year of college, but it's not as easy to discuss like, you know, I was with my husband, you know, and now you have a baby. It's always, even for me, like having an abortion after having a baby, like these are things that because of the age or the pressures that I feel like I'm supposed to be at a certain place or I'm supposed to have my shit together. I'm not supposed to have an abortion after 30. That's
right.
Crazy. I'm an irresponsible fucking way adult. Like I'm way old,
that's your choice.
Right. And it's like, there's just so many things put on us that we're like, it's literally taken until this point to start realizing it and dismantling it.
Well, people create these markers in age, right? Like, okay, by this age, you're supposed to have this. And by this age, okay, you graduate college at 23, 24. Then by 26, you probably have hopefully you have a really great job and you're working towards your dream job. And then by 30, you know,
and a stable relationship.
Yeah, you're stable.
Marriage.
You're starting to date someone seriously who's potentially going to be your husband. Now you're talking babies around 28. Hopefully you have one before you're 30.
The ring is big.
You know, and then
the ring.
Yeah.
Like, Lord Jesus, the ring gotta be big. We have to have a place. I gotta have my shit together. Like, fuck, if we don't have all 30,000 followers plus these it's too much.
And what is that even based on?
Right?
It's based on a system that was built
on some
for you to buy into at certain points of at certain age
built by
brackets.
the patriarchy, you know, like all of this stuff was built by the man, you know.
How does your husband feel about all of your, you know, your opinions and does he support all
he has no choice but to listen. My husband has experienced extreme growth. We've been together since we were 22 years old, 12 years, celebrating 5 years of marriage in September. Whew, thank you. And, you know, we were raised so differently. I mean, just literal black and white. Like he's white. I'm mixed. I'm black and Jewish and Latina, like all these things. And so our experiences in life just are so different. And the things that we had to worry about are so different. Whereas I had to worry about everything, and he had to worry about like almost nothing. Economically speaking, you know, like he had a leg up as opposed to me, my mom was a musician and bohemian and like, you know, worked really hard to make ends meet, and thankfully she got out of that. But like, we're just so different. And so the things that I get riled up about and that matter to me I was built to be that way. My mom marched in the civil rights movement, you know, in San Francisco. And like, she's like, you know, always been super political. So that was just a part of me. When we got together, you know, my husband was kind of like a derelict. I mean, we were both derelicts in our own way, but like, I was always very much like, I had my goals. Mm-hmm. And over time, I remember there was a specific moment. And I think it was when all the girls went missing in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And I brought it up to him and he didn't know what I was talking about. And I went buck wild. We were in DC. I remember. It's all coming back to me. We were in DC. We had just had dinner and we were walking and we were talking and he didn't know it. And we're in the nation's capital. And I'm like, this motherfucker. I'm like, what do you do with your time? How do you not know about this? It's been all over the news. And I got so angry with him for not caring about humanity and not arming himself with information, because the man that I'm going to be with needs to be aware. And I really think he took that to heart, because not to say that he's like, you know, up on everything all the time, but he definitely listens to me more and wants to know, you know, what's going on. And he's happy to have me as a teacher when it comes to, you know, anything in politics or just like culture stuff that is not relating to things that he likes, which is like actual art. Like he's an artist, you know, street culture and like baseball, music, like those are his things. And so we have a lot of discussions, and I think one of the more recent discussions we did have that was kind of like eye-opening for him was about how we were going to raise Dakota, and speaking towards sexuality and how men's relationship with women. And I told him, you know, it was like right after Me Too was happening. And I told him, I was like, you know, for this to change, we need to reprogram how we raise our boys. And he didn't really understand what I meant by that. He was like, what do you mean? Like, And then I gave him an example. I was like, you know, when a little boy hits a girl, we say he does it because he likes her.
That's not a... Yeah.
And I remember him looking at me and being like, oh. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's so messed up. And so it's those conversations that we're having, you know, and sometimes it gets really heated, and I feel bad because I expect him to know things that he doesn't know, but I'm always working on him. I'm always going to do it. Especially when it comes to anything that's race related, you know, because he doesn't live my experience, and it's annoying to have to teach people, but he's my husband. I love him, and he's the father of my child. And I want to make sure that whatever needs I need to be that need to be met, like he needs to know that they need to be met. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm not talking about it, like how do I expect him, you know, because not everybody lives in our experience. And like, this is, I think, a conversation that we need to be having in general. Like proximity is real.
Well, with our friends too, that are not people, that are not women or men of color.
But just in general, the way that we approach these conversations with people, yes, there are some people that don't deserve the fucking time of day, but like, in terms of race, gender, all that stuff, like it's about proximity. If you were not brought up in a home that talked about this, it's really difficult to reprogram your mind to see other sides of things. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, that's just how it works with us. We talk a lot, and sometimes I just babble and he just sits there. But for the most part, he's receptive and he's understanding, and you know, it makes me feel very confident for the way that we're going to raise our child, because I want to have a home where these things are talked about, because that's why I am the way I am, because my mom talked about this kind of stuff with me from when I was a kid. And, you know, those moments where you're like, ugh, mom, like, this is so embarrassing. Like, don't talk about sex. But like, it does make a difference. And we need to normalize these conversations and have them with our spouses, have them with our friends, and not be afraid of potential conflict, but also learning how to speak in a way that is
not off-putting.
Yeah.
It makes them want to sit down with you, sit at the table with you.
Right.
That's the biggest thing, because sometimes just get so angry.
Well, that's what I'm
like,
referring to. Because it's proximity. Like, if they're not used to having these conversations, like, it can get really scary. It can feel attacky. I recently had a situation with my mother-in-law, and it was like I had to break things down for her, and it was very difficult for me because I also looked at her as like somebody that I assumed would know all of these things, and she didn't know any of these things. And I was like, how the fuck do you not know this? Like,
It's so interesting because when I think of like interracial relationships, I've never been in one, but not because I like shy away from them. I just, first of all, white men don't generally hit on me, or maybe I don't notice.
For real?
Yeah, maybe I don't notice. And also, there's been that. It's like, I think that's where it started, and now it's to the point where now I'm just like, well, I like what I like, and also I don't want to have to have that conversation, which is not fair either. Like, I don't want to have to explain the race shit to you. I don't want to explain my outrage. I don't want you to get annoyed by my outrage and then me get annoyed by you.
Yeah.
But then I also didn't even think about like, okay, it's not even just him, but then he has a whole family that I'd have to not explain.
No, it's
but
true.
Like, but
They may be uncomfortable.
Girl, it's a struggle.
But you can't help who you love, and if you have a partner that loves you and wants to know who you are, what your experience is, especially now having a baby that, maybe to the world might not look like he's Black
but he is.
Yeah. But like, sometimes people feel like when they have those babies, they don't have to have those conversations with them because they're going to
have all the
Well, of course, you're his mom.
And the grannies and the grandpas too.
Right.
And they all know.
Right.
I don't take this lightly.
Right.
It's very important to me.
Have you, because you guys have been together for so long, have you experienced like a lot of judgment in your relationship? Or?
You know what? No. People think we're a beautiful couple, and that's awesome. Also, Zach is kind of racially ambiguous in his looks. Sometimes, depending on what he's wearing, he can look very white, like a Kennedy. But he's, I know, because
I've looked at him before, like,
He's from the Lower East Side. He grew up around, like, his best friends are all people of color. Like, he's an artist, he's a graphic designer, he wrote graffiti. Like, it's like not, so he can look Puerto Rican sometimes, or he can look Latino sometimes, and he's part Sicilian. So there's definitely like some other blood in there. But for the most part, no. But what I have experienced personally with him, I'll give you one example. It's so sad that I feel this way, but at moments he validates me. Depending on where I am. Like, I feel validated by having him next to me. And that is something that,
like, if you're in a white space.
That's so crazy, because you're not the first woman I know who's with a Black woman who's with a non-Black man who said that.
Because it isn't, and I'm not, you guys know me, like, I can work a room. Like, I can be anywhere. But there have been situations where I've been like, holy shit, like, thank God, Zach is here. There was one moment in particular. My brother got married in Martha's Vineyard. And when you go to Martha's Vineyard, you fly, from Boston, or we were flying in from New York on these tiny planes. And, Martha's Vineyard is a white town, other than Oaks Bluff, which is actually the first. Yeah. It's one of the first places in the United States where Black people were actually allowed to own property.
Wow, I didn't even realize.
Yes, because this is a side note. You've seen the Inkwell. The Inkwell is about Martha's Vineyard. Right. That's what the movie The Inkwell is about. Martha's Vineyard, because
beach, isn't it? Inkwell Beach?
So that what's now called Oaks Bluff is where all of the nannies and butlers and stuff would live. And the people that, the white people that lived there, they wanted their staff to feel honorable. So they, and like, I think there was also like some kind of policies, like it was just like, there's like a really deep history. I'm not super familiar with it, but yeah. So there are a ton of Black people on Martha's Vineyard, but there were none on this flight. So I got on, and Zach, I don't remember why, he got on after me. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, ugh. It was like really intense. I really wanted him to get on the plane and sit next to me, because whether they were or not, I could feel the eyes on me. And, you know, I'm a mixed kid. I've always been confused about where the fuck I fit in, like always. And it was just a really intense experience. And there's been other moments like where we're walking on the street and Zach does this thing where he walks like 6 feet ahead of me. It drives me insane. I've been literally asking him for 12 years to stop.
Slow down.
To stop. Yeah, he's much taller. His legs are longer. And I'm like, I need you to be next to me. Especially now we have our kid. Like if he has a stroller, I'm like, I look like the crazy like black lady behind you, like trying to catch up. And, you know, maybe that's just my own internalized racism that I've had to deal with, you know? But like those are real things.
That shit is real. That internalized racism.
Ooh, child, where it's like no one else is feeling it except
but you. But sometimes it's not just you, you know.
But sometimes it is just you.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
There was a time when we were upstate. Zach's father, who I love so much, him and his they're amazing. I mean, I love Zach's family. They're incredible. They have a house upstate, and it's, you know, it's like a small upstate town, all white people, and we were at a diner eating, and everything kept coming except for mine. And the whole time I'm sitting there like water. I'm talking like everybody got water except for me.
What?
Yeah, and I'm like, and then it would come later, and then like the food, everybody's food would come, and then mine would come last. And I never get my food last. Zach is actually the one who always gets his food last. The whole time I was sitting there, all I could think about was that they were racist. And maybe they weren't, but we have literally grown in this world where like my second week of college, I was making out with a white dude and somebody screamed nigger lover out the window.
Oh my God.
You know, and I'm from New York. I haven't really experienced that at that time. I was 18, you know, in University of Delaware, like 2.5 hours away from New York. It's not far.
It's tiny.
It's right there, but far enough for, you know, somebody to drive down Main Street every Sunday with a Confederate flag, you know, waving from their truck, because that would happen. And so, you know, I just know what's out there.
It will jolt you.
It's really hard. And the thing is like, Kanye said it best. Even when I'm in a Benz, I'm still a nigga in a coupe. Like, no matter how hard we fucking work, people still assume that you are what they want you to be. And that goes for everybody. It's not necessarily only a race thing, but we definitely experience it more. Like, I've been in the park before and everybody thinks I'm Dakota's nanny. Nobody thinks I'm his mother. And then, you know, some well-meaning white ladies will be like, oh, it's because you look so young. And I'm like,
is that why?
Okay, bitch. I'm wearing a huge engagement ring. Like, really? That's what you think? You just didn't like scan me properly. You
and you look like a woman.
Yeah, like I'm a grown-ass woman.
Like a woman. Okay.
So, you know, but what's really interesting for me now is that because I'm, you know, my father is Panamanian and Jamaican, and my mother is like Eastern European Jew, German, Polish, Russian. And, you know, she did her best to kind of inspire me to lean into who I am culturally. But unless you're surrounded by it, it's hard. Like, I don't know anything about my Jamaican family, because my grandfather came over from Negril to Panama to build a canal, and he never went back. Met my grandmother and called it a day. So I don't even know anything about like my black Jamaican side. But I have just now in my mid-30s started to really see myself fully as a Black woman, not just as a Latina, not as a mixed kid or you know, a Jew, which is another thing I used to hide behind because I felt like it validated me to white people. I'm like, nah, I'm Black. I'm proud. It's great, you know, and I'm happy that I can be this woman now for my son, you know, and hopefully if I have another kid, you know, whatever he or she comes out like I want to be this confident in who I am, because then they can't break me. Right. And I don't think they'll be able to break my kids either if they see it in me. So,
well, what an incredible mom. Like, how lucky are your kids? You're an incredible woman.
Yours too. All of us. I mean,
like, damn.
thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just so happy that you share your knowledge with our listeners. And
Yeah, you're an incredible woman, Zoila. I'm happy that we
Thank
met
you. I'm really happy to
Well,
be
then
here.
Erica met you,
So,
and then I met you.
what a great way to spend I only have 2 days that I get to work outside the house. So this is like a perfect way to start it.
I'm grateful you came to hang out with me.
I'm so grateful. And it only took 35 minutes.
it's not, the valley's not that far.
Yeah, you're
and
only right
you
now.
left at a good time. It's 10:30
Yeah,
is like
yeah,
that, like that
10:30,
moment of like
yeah.
no traffic.
Yeah.
Like even now when you leave, you'll be okay
I'm
too.
going to Wee House.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Too.
Well, I think, do we have anything else? I feel like we've covered everything.
Yeah, I wanted her to tell that story about grandma, but
About grandma?
your grandma going to Japan.
Oh, I didn't want to because I'm not sure if she would want me
Okay.
to.
Okay, it's okay. We can cut that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just so happy that you came. Thank
so
you.
happy
Can you
I'm
tell
here.
our listeners where they can find
Your
you?
podcast.
Yes,
your podcast
please.
as well?
I just started my own podcast. It's called The Women I Know, and I think you might hear these ladies on it. It's very new. We only have a few episodes, but you can find that on my website, which is word.agency, no.com, just word.agency. And there's a bunch of stuff on there.
How do you do that?
I know. I was like, that exists.
How you got a
We
website?
bought a .agency.
Oh,
They
damn.
didn't have .com. It was taken, so that's what I did.
Okay.
And that's also my company Instagram, word.agency. And then my personal Instagram account is Zoila, Zoila, Darton, Darton. And yeah, come find me. I'm always like talking some shit, trying to be cute.
And also
You know?
always like connecting women and connecting
Yeah,
moms.
I live for it.
You're like the resource woman.
I live
woman
for
of
it.
the
Like
year.
like Zoila asked me to come on a panel. I was like, me? You want people? What? I'm gonna talk. What am I gonna talk about? Like, and now I'm like, oh my god! Now I'm in a place now where I'm like, let's just everyone. All need to talk.
Oh,
Let's all
we
talk.
do. The more you talk, the
So
more
you really
you
inspired
learn.
that part of me too, and I'm so grateful to know you and be able to be embraced by you and be included in the things that you're doing,
Meet other
your
women,
community.
yeah,
And I love that.
that.
I love it. I love it so
Me
much,
too.
especially because me and Jamila are on this unexpected journey of like. I mean, I've always, obviously, like I think when I was young, like I was always kind of like I always felt like I didn't have like a huge connection to like women. I always was kind of like I think growing up, as moms and as women, we think that we're protecting our girls by saying, oh, they don't like you because they're jealous of you. And so I always felt like I was in a competition. You're looking at me confused, but it's
No, I'm laughing. I'm not looking.
And I feel like I'm in a space now, and it's taken me until my late 20s to 30s to really be like, no, it's not a competition. We're all in this together, and I feel so glad that I'm on this journey of like empowerment and being able to empower the women that listen to us, and honestly they empower me and Mila as well as too. It's a not a one-way street.
We create out of necessity.
Yeah. And so anyway, I'm so grateful that I met you along the way.
Same here. I love you,
Beautiful.
ladies.
I do love you.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes. Okay, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Make sure to follow us at goodmoms_bad_choices. We have new merch on our website, www.goodmomsbadchoices.com. And I think that's it. That's it, right? All right. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Oh wait, we'll be in New York next week, so call it if you're gonna hang out.
Oh yeah, we'll be in New York. Let us know where to go. Zoila, let us know where to go. Bye.
That was awesome, ladies.
Thank
Was that good?